Okay, so on this worksheet we are going to be working with tiles and boxes to find our product. And it tells us up here, it gives us a little key, that a big square is going to be x squared, and then a dark square is going to be a negative x squared, and then our rectangular shapes, the light one will be x, and the darker one will be negative x, and then our smaller squares will be a 1 and a negative 1 for a shaded one. Okay. So starting with number 1, we have 2 times x. So when we distribute, we see that is going to be 2x. The same thing would be right here in our box. And then whenever we want to draw this out, we would just have 2 little squares for the 1, 2. And then for our x, we just draw a longer rectangle. And now, all I need to do is just connect all my lines, and so here's x, which equals 2x. Okay, going on to number 2 here. So to distribute, I just multiply 3 times the x and times the negative 2, and that would give me 3 times x gives me 3x, and 3 times negative 2 gives me negative 6. It's going to be the same thing here with the box, so 3 times x gives me 3x, and 3 times negative 2 gives me negative 6. And now I'm going to do the tiles. So here on the side, I'm just going to have my 3 little squares for 3, and then up here I'll have an x, and then my shaded 2 little squares for the negative 2. And now I will connect all of them. And these, of course, will be shaded also, since when we multiply a positive and a negative, we get a negative value. So we can see we have 1, 2, 3, x, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, negative 6. Okay, number 3. So we have x times x, which gives me x squared. And they've already given us the tiles, the drawing for that. So again, we do the same thing with the box. So x times x gives us x squared. All right, number 4. This time we're going to be multiplying 2x times x, which gives me 2x squared, and 2x times negative 3, which gives me negative 6x. Same thing for here in the box. 2x times x gives me 2x squared, and then 2x times my negative 3 here gives me a negative 6x. So let's do our tiles. So we have 2 x's, and then I have a x, and then 1, 2, 3 for the, and shade them in for the minus 3. So now all we have to do is connect them. So here we have the 2x squared, and then 1, oh, and I need to shade these because a negative times a positive gives me a negative. So again, like I was saying, 2x squared, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 negative x's. Okay, number 5. So now we're going to multiply 2x times negative x, so that's going to give me a negative 2x squared, and then 2x times 3 gives me 6x. Same thing with the box here, 2x times negative x gives me negative 2x squared, and 2x times 3 gives me 6x. And now with the tiles, so here is my 2x, and then my negative x here, and then 1, 2, 3. Now all I have to do is connect all of them. These are going to be shaded. So there's my negative 2x squared, and then my 6x. All right, number 6. So now negative x times 2x, again, gives me negative 2x squared, and then a negative x times a negative 1 gives me a positive 1x. Same thing with the box, negative x times 2x gives me negative 2x squared, and then negative x times negative 1 gives me a positive 1x. So now for the tiles, we know we have a negative x here, and then there's my 2x, and then my minus 1. So we'll connect all of them. let's see, these are going to be shaded. So there's my negative 2x squared and then my 1x. Okay, so number 7. So we're going to say negative 3 times x, which gives me negative 3x, and then negative 3 times 2 gives me a negative 6. So now to represent that with the tiles, so we have 1, 2, 3 little squares that are going to be shaded. And then here's my x, and then plus 2. Again, I'm just going to connect everything. So we can see our product here. And of course, all of it is going to be shaded. So here's my negative 3x, and then my negative 6. Okay, so number 8. Now we have x times 2x, which gives me 2x squared, and 2x times negative 3, which gives me negative 3x. And this time all we have to do is use the box, so I'll put my x out in the front, and then 2x minus 3 up top. So x times 2x gives me 2x squared, and x times negative 3 gives me a negative 3x. Okay, so now we can flip over to the back. Okay, so in numbers 9 through 12, we're going to try to find the product without drawing the tiles or using the box. So we'll just use the distribution. So here for number 9, we have 3 times x, which gives me 3x, and 3 times negative 2 gives me a negative 6. Now, number 10, negative 2x times 2x, that's going to give me a negative 4x squared. And then negative 2x times negative 3 gives me a positive 6x. All right, number 11. So we're going to distribute 4x to the 2x, which gives me 8x squared, and then 4x to my minus 5, which gives me a minus 20x. All right, number 12. So we have negative 3x times negative 2x, which gives me a positive 6x squared, and then negative 3x times 5 gives me a minus 15x. Okay, moving on to number 13. And it looks like I'm missing my information on here, so we are going to cross this out. And we'll go on to number 14. So it wants to know, how can I verify that 2x minus 5x, 2x times negative 5x minus 4 equals negative 10x squared minus 8x? Well, I can use my calculator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this one in y1, and I'm going to put this one in y2, and then we're going to look at the table here. So let's go to y equals, let's clear this one out first, so that I have 2x times negative 5x minus 4, so that's my y1, and then y2 I have negative 10x squared minus 8x. So let's go to the table, and what I see is that all of my y1 and y2 values are the same, so that's how I know that my equations are the same. So we'll say y1 and y2 have the same values for all. Okay. All right, so let's move on down to our mixed practice here. And we're just going to use our distribution. So we are going to distribute for number 1, 2 to each of my terms that are in here. So first, 2 times 3x squared gives me 6x squared. And 2 times 2x gives me 4x. And then 2 times negative 5 gives me a negative 10. So that would be our answer for number 1. Okay, number 2. So this time we're going to be distributing the negative 7 to each of these terms. So negative 7 times 2h squared gives me a negative 14h squared. And negative 7 times negative 7h gives me a positive 49h. And then negative 7 times negative 2 gives me a positive 14. So that would be our product here. All right, so now we have number 3, and this time we have our number, or the equation that's in the parentheses in the front, and our other factor out on the outside on the other side of the parentheses. But that's okay, we can still distribute going backwards. So we'll say 3x times x gives me 3x squared, and 3x times 10 gives me a 30x. So that would be our product. Okay, so number 4, this time we're going to be distributing y to these two terms. So y times y, just like x times x, gives us y squared, and y times 1 is just, you could say 1y or just y. That is our product there. Okay, number 15. So this time we're going to be distributing 12c to each of these terms. So 12c times negative 5c squared, that's going to give me a negative 60c cubed. And then plus 12c times 3c, that's going to give me a 36c squared. And then 12c times this negative 4 gives me a minus 48c. Okay, number 6, our last one. All right, so this time we're going to have to first distribute this w across to each of these terms to the terms that it's attached to with the parentheses, and then we'll also have to distribute this 5w, which we're going to treat it as a negative since we have a subtraction sign here, to each of these terms. So let's first start here. So w times w, that gives me w squared, and then w times 3 is just plus 3w. Now negative 5w times w gives me a negative 5w squared, and then negative 5w times negative 2 gives me a positive 10w. So now I'm going to combine my like terms. So I see that I can combine w squared with this negative 5w squared because they both have w squared with them. So w squared minus 5w squared is going to give me a negative 4w squared. And then I'm going to combine my 3w with my 10w since they both contain a w, and that would just be 13w. So that would be my product for those. All right, and this concludes this worksheet.